Good evening, and thank you for joining the African EB-5 USA Green Card webinar, Immigration and Business Opportunities under President Biden. My name is Sam Hussain, Director of BLS Global, and we specialize in providing multimedia content for residency and citizenship globally. And today we're here to discuss the opportunities and gateways and pathways to the US. Today, you will hear from Simone Williams, founder and managing attorney at Williams Global Law. Ms. Williams is regarded as one of the top US attorneys in the country. In July 2019, Ms. Williams was awarded the International Pioneer Award by the International Law Section of the National Bar Association. Ms. Williams is a board member and chair of the International Business Committee of the Mayor's Advisory Committee on Caribbean Affairs. Ms. Williams is also the chair of the International Law Section of the National Bar Association and helped many investors globally file a successful petition for US immigration. You'll also hear from Komi Koutche, who has a DBA, MBA, MS in Economy and Finance, expert in microfinance, public-private partnership specialist. Komi graduated from the Faculty of Economics and Management of the National University of Benin and the George Washington University. He has an impressive career and political background. He held many important positions in Benin, which is his home country, including the Senior Minister of Economic and Finance and Communications and IT. He leads Global Challenges Solutions, KK Investment Solutions, has 2 established US companies specialized in investment, finance, and economic connections. Member Commerce, Komi Koutche works with some US partners like Williams Global Law for a new dynamic in the interaction between US and the African French-speaking business world. My first question to the panelists is, what is the EB-5 Immigration Investor Program? And then my second question following the first one is, what reforms are proposed under President Biden's administration for EB-5? Simone?
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. So the EB-5 Immigration Program is an investment program that allows foreign investors to invest in businesses that are creating jobs in the United States. And in exchange for that investment, they will receive a US permanent residency status, a green card. Now, the investment amounts recently increased to $900,000 in certain areas and $1.8 million. But in exchange for this investment opportunity, the foreign investor receives a green card for himself or herself and their entire family. And they also invest in these projects, and it's more they receive their money back within 5 years with a small return on their investment. So it's not that they're giving away their money, they're keeping it in the program. The project creates jobs, and then the money is returned to the investor within 5 years. It was an exciting program that allows investors to receive US permanent residency status, in other words, a green card, and it is a 5-year path to citizenship. So they receive US citizenship thereafter. Now, in terms of the Biden administration, there are a lot of far-reaching plans to reform the US immigration system under Biden. This administration is more immigration friendly. Recently, President Biden sent a proposed immigration reform bill to Congress, which seeks to improve any visa backlogs, employment backlogs, which include the EB-5 Immigrant Investment Program. He also is looking to reduce long visa wait times and eliminate per country visa caps. So under Biden, there are quite a few changes. In addition, he eliminated what was called the Muslim ban. So kind of opening up the US to to immigrants or nationals from certain countries certain Muslim countries that were previously banned, which are Syria, Nigeria, and Eritrea, to name a few. So that's we're looking at a much brighter world for foreign investors and foreign immigrants right now. So.
Thank you, Simone. So question for Komi. What does that mean in terms for African nationals and especially for French-speaking nations?
Thank you, Hussain, for giving the French-speaking person the opportunity to attend this event in the language that they can understand, in their own language. That is not common here in the US. Not because the US business world hates the French-speaking person, but because the USA is the USA.
Thank you, Komi. Okay, so the next question I have for the panelists is, what are the latest USCIS adjudication in regards to approvals, denials, and issues? And perhaps, Simone, just for our viewers that are new to this, you can explain what it, in terms of abbreviation, is for USCIS.
Well, so in terms of adjudication right now, the USCIS, just to follow up with what I said about the Biden administration, they're looking to increase the employment visa limits to, it's currently 140,000, and they're looking to increase it to 170,000. So by having more visas, this will also help with any kind of backlog issues, as well as the proposal to eliminate the country cap on EB-5 visas. This would also shorten the wait times for some. And so what we're seeing is that there are, right now, currently, there is a lengthy, well, 2 years you're looking at right now in terms of adjudication for an EB-5 visa. However, with the new reforms in place and an attempt to eliminate backlogs and visa wait times, we should see that drastically improve under the Biden administration.
And now, Simone, this is a really important question and relevant to a lot of the audience that we have from the African region. You know, how does an attorney prepare the source of funds or the path of funds in order to get an approval? Because that's, I guess, one of the major complications that you deal with.
Yes, the source of funds is really the most critical piece for this EB-5 investment program. And why I say that is that, sure, if you have the funds to be able to invest in the United States, that's great. However, whatever investment that you are investing in the United States, you have to show the source of it. And what we do as an attorney is that I work with you, and we have to go, you have to just explain how you earned the money, essentially. And then we have to provide the documentation to supplement how that money was earned and how that money was transferred from the foreign country into the United States. All of that has to be documented. And it is not, the process is something that myself as an attorney works with you. I help you get all of the documents that are required. It's something that we really help the investor to be able to properly document the source of their funds. And depending on where their money, how their money was earned, if they earned their money through income from company earnings or through a sale of proceeds from real estate. We would, for example, for a sale of proceeds of real estate, we would have to show the sale and purchase agreement of the real estate. And also we have to show the funds were received into the investor account, and then thereafter the funds were transferred from the investor's account to the US. So all of that documentation, for example, has to be provided as part of the EB-5 application. And I've worked with over 100 investors. There's so many different ways to show how you earn that money. And that's something that we provide all of the documents that is required, and in some cases, answer all the questions you need to get answers for, so that we could really help you and guide you through that process.
Simone, you touched briefly about the source of funds and how an attorney prepares them from path of funds. What documentations are needed to make a successful application?
In order to make a successful application from the investor's perspective, it's really the proper documentation of their source of funds and how that investment was transferred from their foreign country to the United States. That documentation is really the most critical piece. On the US project side, the US project typically prepares all of the documentation that's required for an EB-5 investor to file and make a successful application. So the investor really doesn't have to be concerned about what is provided from the US project, because the US project also has to provide documentation to support the EB-5 application. So from the investor standpoint, they have to prove their source of funds, document the path of those funds and how the funds were transferred. And that's really the main critical piece to obtain a successful approval for EB-5.
Simone, what are the special consideration, if any, an African investor should think about for this EB-5 or US business immigration route?
I think the special considerations would be to make sure that the financial documentation is properly documented in terms of their source of funds. In terms of the special considerations for African investors, there are issues with transferring money from certain African countries to the United States. And in those cases, we kind of work with the investor, provide solutions and strategies for the best way in which they can transfer their money outside of from the foreign country to the United States. I think the transfer of funds is sometimes much of a challenge for investors from certain countries. And that's something that we try to strategize and work with them to get the best way for them to transfer their money out to the United States, to the project, and to properly document the path of those funds, because that needs to be clearly supported in the application.
Thank you. And for Komi?
The aim of my being here is not to invite African people to bring their money to create jobs in the United States, but I'm here to tell you really about the business side and the advantage of the EB-5 for African people. I am a big fighter for the development of Africa. So I'm fighting every day to leverage all the opportunities that can help us to develop Africa. So for me, with the new dynamic in the United States, we African people, we need to go to discover the American market. Participating to the EB-5 program has exclusively a lot of advantage. I don't see any issue that can arise throughout the process when we decide to participate in EB-5. The first advantage for us to participate in EB-5 program is that we are leaving our current boundary to go to a bigger market and a very sure market. Here in the United States, the life is ruled by legislation and the test. People do not rule the life here. That is the first thing. The second thing is that once you finish, and at the end of the day, you get your status of a permanent resident, you are free to become a businessman in the United States. And you can leverage any kind of partnership in the financial sector, in IT, and any kind of partner you can have from here to go to Africa to develop your business. The other thing is that you can raise funds from here. And I know a lot of African businessmen who has a very solid partnership, many solid partnerships here to raise money to develop very, very important projects in Africa. That is my dream. President Joe Biden is opening the United States to the rest of the world, and we need to take advantage of all the policies he is developing to come here to make money, because small money from here can do a lot of big things in Africa. This is our time. We don't need to waste it. Thank you, Hussain.
Komi, a lot of people got to understand when they're doing this EB-5 program, they will make a good living in the US, and that doesn't stop them still supporting and investing back in Africa with the diaspora. That is one big element that they, we get criticized a lot in terms of money going into the US, but that means that could be a great platform in order to develop and grow their business, and the additional growth, that income they can make, they can always bring that back into Africa. It's always I see this as a huge advantage. What do you say to that?
Exactly, that's what I was saying. I say that EB-5 does not aim only to bring money to the United States. For me, EB-5 gives you the opportunity to bring your money here in the United States, to make it productive, and at the end of the day, to go back more than what you bring to develop Africa. And in the beginning, you just invest your money to get in 5 years or in 4 years your green card. But once you get your green card, you become very legitimate to develop all kinds of business here. You can invest your money in real estate, you can invest your money in IT, but whatever we want to do, you have to make money after you become US permanent residency.
So Simone, can you tell a number of our viewers your success rate and your track record in this US immigration EB-5, L1, E2 process?
Okay, sure, absolutely. So one of my specialties is representing foreign investors specifically, whether they're doing EB-5 or they're doing another type of investment visa to the United States. There are two more types of visas. One is the E2 and one is the L1. And that's something that any of the participants could directly contact me if they're looking for more information on those visas. But in terms of my experience level, I've been practicing and doing this particular type of work for over 15 years. And I am happy to say that I have 100% track record approval rate with all of the investors that I've represented. I've represented over 100 investors, specifically doing EB-5, and specifically from the continent of Africa, from West Africa, as well as Eastern Africa and South Africa. So I have a lot of experience working with investors from West Africa, working from investors from Ethiopia, Eritrea, and I've traveled to Ghana, to Senegal, to Ethiopia, and met with investors specifically and participated in seminars to discuss their specific issues with respect to transfer of funds and EB-5 investment. So I am confident that I will be able to help any participants here on the call that are seriously interested in EB-5. Again, I've worked in the field for over 15 years. I represented specifically a regional center where we raised over $60 million from EB-5 investors from foreign countries. And I've been working a lot with from nationals from African countries specifically. So I am very happy to walk them and guide them through the process, answer all of the questions that are required, and get them an approval, because I specialize in results and getting them the approval and getting them the green card.
Thank you, Komi. Brilliant. Simone, well done. Thank you so much, guys. Finally, you will hear from Qendrese Rrustemi, Managing Director at EB-5 American Immigration Group. Ms. Rrustemi works with the CEO and COO to bring the EB-5 market the most qualified and sound investment opportunities. She also leads and manages partnerships and representations everywhere around the world. Prior to joining the American Immigration Group, Ms. Rrustemi was employed by JP Morgan Chase, where she managed business relationships, financing, and investment for large corporations with complex needs. Ms. Rrustemi is licensed by the Financial Industry Regulator Authority, which is FINRA, and North American Securities Administration Association, and holds Series 6 and 63 licenses. She also has a bachelor degree in finance and international business commerce.
Hello, my name is Qendrese Sadriu-Rrustemi, and I am the Managing Director of American Immigration Group. We are a regional center headquartered in New York with offices and representations in over 10 countries around the world. Today, we will be talking about EB-5, its processes, and also answering some of the most common questions we receive from our investors. Center is a company authorized by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS, to offer investment projects to foreigners under the EB-5 Immigrant Investor Program. It raises capital through the EB-5 program and allows investors opportunities to make investments in different projects. The regulatory requirements for investment through a regional center and for direct investments are similar in many ways. The main difference are in the job creation and the amount of investment required. For example, an investment through a regional center offers the added advantages of indirect and induced job creation. Also, the jobs created through the regional center are counted differently than those created by a direct investment. A regional center has a formula that is given by USCIS and is used by an economist to calculate the job creation based on the dollars spent on certain activities, versus a direct investment has to show W-2s or proof that it has at least 10 full-time employees in its payroll until the investor removes the conditions from their green card. Likewise, the processing time is shorter in many cases. But the biggest difference is that it is a hands-free investment. A hands-free investment through the regional center. It's an investment where you have the freedom to live and work and travel without the responsibility of managing the daily operations of the company you start. Finally, most regional centers, such as American Immigration Group, are specifically focused in offering investments in projects that are within a targeted employment area, so that the investment amount is $900,000, as opposed to 1.8 million, which in many cases ends up being the investment amount in direct EB-5 investments. That's because not so many small businesses are viable in targeted employment areas, which tend to be rural or distressed urban areas for direct investments. Regional centers have the ability to combine different areas surrounding the projects to show high unemployment. And they're not limited to the census tract in which the project will be, which is the case with the direct investments. For a regional center is a company that has received the designation from USCIS to pool the investment of multiple foreign investors into a qualifying US business and create employment. As such, the regional center is a crucial facilitator for the foreign investor in order for that investor to avoid the tedious process of complying with USCIS requirements. The regional center prepares the business plan of the investment, does due diligence on the project, hires third-party professionals to study the viability of the project, manages the capital invested within the project, communicates with the business developers, and most importantly, it manages jobs creation for investors, which is a prime criterion for getting a green card. The investor doesn't have to worry about any of these. The regional center, when not affiliated with a project such as American Immigration Group, also protects the investor's interests in case of a foreclosure of the project or when the project is not doing well, by taking a lien on the property right after the senior lenders. We at American Immigration Group will always protect the interests of our investors because our interests as a company are aligned with the interests of our investors. A successful investment is an investment that grants the green card to our investors and also returns the capital investment back to them. And that is what we strive for. The biggest benefit of going through a regional center program is that the investor is mitigating the risk of having to manage a business while not being physically in the United States. The EB-5 requires an investor to first invest the funds into a qualifying US business and then file their I-526 petition. If you are doing a direct investment, you have to invest those funds in your business and hire someone to manage this business while your application is being processed. This has proven to be a very hard thing to do. The regional center program has been designed differently. When you invest in a project through a regional center, in most cases, you are loaning that money to the project, which provides you with certain protections a direct investment will not. The regional center, we will manage that investment and look after your interests. We will make sure that the business in which you invested is moving forward as planned, and that is continuing to create the jobs necessary for you to get your green card. We will manage and oversee your investment the same way a bank manages and oversees their loan into a project. First and foremost, you need to get to know the regional center and their principals. Learn about their experience in EB-5 and make sure that they have successfully completed EB-5 projects before. But the most important thing for an investor to look at is the project in which they're planning to invest. EB-5 is all about the project. A good project is a project that has all the finances in place. You need to make sure that the senior lender has approved that senior loan, that the initial investment from owners and the developers has been made, that construction is going on. It is also important to check how the investment has been structured. Is there an escrow agreement in place with a bank that is experienced in EB-5? And what are those terms on that escrow agreement? An escrow agreement tells you how your money will be handled. What is the exit strategy is another thing you want to know. You want to know how the project is planning to pay back that loan. And you need to know what happens if the project defaults in their payments. These are all important questions for you to ask your regional center and to ask about your project. If the regional center is affiliated with the project, meaning if the developer himself has gotten a regional center designation for his own project, you need to be extra careful. You need to make sure that the structure of that investment is to your benefit and not only to the benefit of the project, and that the structure of that investment offers you protections that sometimes are not offered in these cases. There should be transparency in an EB-5 offering, and you are entitled to see, read, and understand the offering memorandum and any other related documents you'd like to review. Before I answer that question, I would like to explain the application process that you will have to go through as an EB-5 investor. You have to submit 2 applications to USCIS to complete your EB-5 process. The first application is called an I-526 petition. This petition is the initial approval of your green card. Once approved, you will receive a conditional green card for 2 years. There are 2 parts of this I-526 application. One part has to do with the project, and the other part has to do with your source of funds. For the part of the project, the regional center is responsible. We have to prove to USCIS that the project qualifies for EB-5, that is viable and a good business. Both our projects currently have this approval with USCIS. It's called an exemplar approval or the I-924 approval. So the risk of you being denied because of the project has been mitigated with our projects. The other part of this application is the source of funds. This has to be completed by you and your immigration attorney. The US government wants a dollar per dollar accounting of the funds you are investing. So it is very important that you retain an immigration attorney who is experienced and has a good track record in EB-5. If that application is denied, that means that you will not get a green card and you can go no further with your EB-5 process. What happens to your funds? That depends in the regional center. Each regional center handles it differently. We at American Immigration Group will return the investment amount back to you if you do get denied. The other application that you will have to submit to USCIS is called the I-829. This application is usually filed 2 years after you receive the initial green card, which is conditional. So with the I-526 petition, you get a green card with the condition of proving that your investment has created 10 jobs 2 years later for either US citizens or legal residents. This application is filed by your immigration attorney, but the regional center has to provide the documentation for it. We at American Immigration Group will not release your funds from escrow without receiving proof of job creation from your investment. So you don't have to worry about this part with us. However, if you fail to prove you have created 10 jobs, your application will be denied and you will have to return back to your country. At this point, your money is already invested in the project. And in most cases, you will have to wait until the end of the loan term to get your money back. So it is very important to look at the procedures that regional center has in place to manage this job creation. See, if a project has created jobs already, this is usually the best way to ensure that you have the jobs that you need at I-829. But in absence of this, you will want to make sure that your regional center has a procedure in place to make sure that you will get the jobs required for you to remove the conditions from your green card. The short answer is EB-5 is still a good deal. And here's why. The US has created EB-5 in 1990, and it never raised the amount before 2019. The investment amount was increased to basically adjust to inflation. The US is still in line, if not cheaper and simpler, with the other programs of developed countries. The US is a country of opportunities. You can be whomever you want to be and work in any profession you like. It is easy to do business here, and the only thing you cannot do as a naturalized citizen, meaning a citizen not born in the United States, is to be elected president. Everything else is open to you. The same way that it is open to US born citizens. There is endless opportunities in this country, and your individual freedom is like nowhere else in the world. So yes, it is still a good deal. The best deal, if you ask me. Centers are licensed by USCIS to offer EB-5 to foreign individuals. And if they fail to comply with USCIS requirements, they will be issued a notice of intent to terminate that regional center's participation in the immigrant investor program. If a regional center does receive that termination from USCIS, that regional center will not be able to solicit, generate, or promote investors or investments in any project. In short, that regional center will lose its ability to do business, to do EB-5. American Immigration Group believe the program will be reauthorized. EB-5 is a good program. It helps the US economy and creates new jobs. It is a program that every president has supported since the program started in 1990. And there is no reason for Biden not to do the same. Biden has shown to be a pro-immigration president, and his executive orders in the matter on his first 100 days in the office have shown this. We encourage investors to go into EB-5. As a regional center, we have established a protocol to protect investors in the highly unlikely event of the program not being reauthorized. What we are offering is for investors to send their funds into the escrow account of the project that they like, and we will keep the funds there until it becomes clear the reauthorization is happening. If the program gets reauthorized, business will continue as usual, and we will release your funds to the project. But your I-526 petition will have been in process, and you will not be losing any time. If the program does not get reauthorized, but the filed applications continue to be processed, which is what most likely will happen if the program does not get reauthorized, the investor will still be in the program and his or her petition will continue to be processed as normal. So you will not be losing out on EB-5. And in the highly unlikely event that the EB-5 is not reauthorized and the existing petitions are not grandfathered, we at American Immigration Group will return all the funds back to our investors. Thank you for your attention and your time today. I really appreciate it. If you have any more questions about EB-5, its process, or any of our projects, please feel free to contact us. We are here to assist you every step of the way. Thank you.